Hey guys, Magnus Robert here, bringing you another Dead Walking Dead character video. We are doing Season 8 today, a Season 8 death, and that death will be Andy, member of the Hilltop and one of the first characters who showed us the next world. Andy is of course male. He is played by Jeremy Placco. He is early 30s and first appeared in Knots Untie. Not much is known about Andy's life before the outbreak, but when the outbreak began he joined the Hilltop that was formed into a FEMA camp at first and then became its own community separate from that. The Saviours soon showed up at some point, killed some kid named Rory, demanded half their share, and Andy was one of the people who would scavenge and deliver stuff to the Saviours. Andy went on a delivery one day to the satellite outpost with Ethan, Craig, Crystal, and two characters who are unseen, Tim and Marcia. Negan didn't like how much produce they had, so he personally killed Tim and Marcia and imprisoned Craig. Negan then told the remaining members of the group if they want Craig back, they have to kill Gregory and bring back some evidence of his death. In Season 6, Andy, Crystal and Ethan return when Rick's group are present at the Hilltop. Andy watches Ethan stab Gregory, and when Rick tackles Ethan, Andy tries to tackle Rick. He is then grabbed by Abraham but gets the upper hand on Abraham and begins to choke. Poor old Abraham. Andy is then grabbed by Daryl and has his hand broken by him. He then watches in horror as Rick stabs Ethan and kills him. Andy is asked by Rick to help with dealing with the Saviours, and despite everything that just happened, Andy agrees to do so. Rick and co begin to plan their attack on the satellite outpost, and in the church, Andy gives their plans for the compound to help and listens to Rick's speech. They look for a walker on the side of the road to decapitate and use to fool the guards and make them think it's Gregory. They find one that sorta looks like Gregory, and Rick punches the shit out of it just to help the ruse. Andy comments that the Saviours are scary, but they ain't got nothing on Rick. Andy arrives at the outpost with the head and lies to Gabe and the other guard and says that he killed Gregory, but he did break his hand. The men mock Andy a little bit before Gabe goes in to go get Craig. Andy watches as Daryl kills that one guard, and Michonne stabs Gabe when he returns with Craig. Andy rushes to Craig to stop him from screaming, takes him to the car, and returns back to the Hilltop. In Season 7, Andy is likely around when the Hilltop is attacked by zombies caused by the Saviours, but he must have stayed indoors anyway, away from the danger, as he's unseen. Andy is one of the people who Enid convinced to stand behind Maggie and Rick's group over Gregory. He stands with the others outside of the Barretting house, showing his support. Apart from that, Andy is not seen in Season 7 at all. He's literally in one episode. And in Season 8, Andy is among the militia to hear Rick's speech. He's a bit nervous, but Diane calms him down, telling him that they'll all look after him. Andy is present for the attack at the sanctuary, where he helps shoot at windows after Rick and Negan have some shit talking. And then Andy goes on the mission to attack the satellite outpost. He gets inside with the others and they all get into position to open all the doors and shoot the Saviours that are behind the doors. He stands in front of the door with a nervous Freddy and Morgan, but the door suddenly opens. Andy and the others fire and kill the Saviour who opened the door, but then more Saviours come, and this happens to Andy. Andy is shot to death and lies dead. Later his body is taken and returned to the Hilltop to be buried, presumably. Andy wasn't anything major, but he was a cool minor character from the Hilltop who reappeared now and again. He seemed like a good guy for the most part, apart from trying to strangle my boy Abraham. That was not cool, Andy. Thanks for watching. Tell me your thoughts on Andy, and I'll see you in the next one for a Season 9 death. Goodbye.